Magandang tanghali, MPC. Kasama na natin si Chief Presidential Legal Counsel and Presidential Spokesperson Salvador Panelo.
First, we would like to express condolences to Tatay Rene Lumawag of Davao City. Nakikiramay po kami sa mga kamag-anak ni Tatay Rene. We're sad about his demise. Kaya lang, Tatay Rene, nasaan yung mga pictures na pinangako mo sa akin? Sana nagbilin ka. Di ba, pupuntahan kita din sa yung huling hantungan. Anyway, let me read to you the statement. This is in response to the remarks of Senior Justice Antonio Carpio and others critics vis-a-vis the exclusive economic zone. They're saying that the president has violated the provision, specifically Section 2 of Article 12 of the Constitution, preserving the exclusive use of marine wealth. Some of them are even saying that it is an impeachable offense. This is our response to them. The Constitution is a living instrument. It is not just a scrap of paper. It is not just a concept in law that requires law students to study to pass the bar examinations, or for lawyers to invoke it with respect to litigation in court. The Constitution is not only a guide, but a rule in governance that lays the power of governance, or rather that lays the power of governance to the governors, as well as the duties and obligations of the governed. It defines the rights of the members of society vis-a-vis their fellow citizens. The government is the creation of the people to serve and protect them from danger and extinction. This is precisely the reason why the framers of the Constitution has immortalized the raison d'etre of a government, which is its prime duty is to serve and protect the people. This is found in Section 4 of Article 2 of the Constitution. The head of the government is the president, and necessarily by parity or force of logic, the duty to serve and protect the people is lodged upon him. And upon him lies the sacred burden of utilizing the powers, whether inherent to that position or granted by the people, to serve them for their welfare and to protect them from whatever mortal danger that lurks. The provision of the Constitution protecting the natural resources and marine wealth, which is found in Section 2 of Article 12 of the Constitution, while apparently, at first glance, bestow upon the Filipino people favorable preferences as regards the nation's wealth, it is actually designed to safeguard their very existence and survivals, because in the hierarchy of rights, the right to life takes precedence over the right to property. That is precisely why that section 4 of Article 2 says the prime duty of the government is to serve and protect the Filipino people in reference to the lives of the Filipinos. Hence, in that article, the Constitution reserved the use and enjoyment of the nation's marine wealth to Filipino citizens. And that provision should be and must be read in relation to the primordial duty of the President to serve and to protect the people. In other words, it should be read in relation to the other provision of the Constitution, which is Section 4 of Article 2 of the Basic Charter. If you will notice, if you go over the constitutions, most of the provisions, if not all, relative to the protection of the state and its people, in that constitution emanate from that. That's the basic premise. And jurisprudence is replete with pronouncements of the Supreme Court. And we learned that also in the College of Law, that when you read a law, a statute, or the Constitution, you must read it, you must read every part of the statute. It must be considered together with the other provisions of the law or the statute, and kept subservient to the general intent of the whole enactment. A provision in the Constitution, and for that matter, any law, cannot be read, as I repeatedly said, in isolation, but always in conjunction with other provisions to give life and not to kill the very rationale of the Constitution. And I'd like to address this again to those advocates of that theory of Justice Carpio. The framers of the Constitution, in tasking the President to serve and to protect the Filipino people, could never have intended to chain the President in performing his constitutional duty by placing provisions in the Constitution in derogation of such obligation. And being fixated in invoking a particular right, which they're doing, through actions which will cause destruction of the very holder of such right, apart from being a thoughtless and senseless thought, is, to our minds, an exercise in self-destruction. It is absolutely fallacious to argue that the President is surrendering our sovereignty by not aggressively pursuing the arbitral ruling in our favor, rendered by the Permanent Court of Arbitration. Let me remind the critics, the issue here is not about which country has a better claim based on its constitution or laws, nor is it the enforcement of our upheld rights, which unfortunately, until now, no entity or country is inclined to perform. What is the issue? The issue is how to go about getting the benefits without endangering the lives of our countrymen and bringing us to the precipice of war. Now, the President, as head of state, with only the well-being and security of the Filipino people in mind and in his heart, believes that aggressively enforcing the arbitral award will only precipitate or trigger an armed conflict that could escalate into continuing bloody encounters, detrimental to the national interest. Hence, he has resorted to diplomatic negotiations that may reap the desired windfall from the arbitral ruling. If you remember, before, in the Scarborough, we could not fish where our fishermen were being driven away. But after that agreement with the president, they're not being molested. Now, the president's measured tact, as I described it before as calibrated responses, is consistent with this Section 2, Article 12 of the Constitution stating, or rather Article 2, stating that the Philippines renounces war as an instrument of national policy and adopts the generally accepted principles of law, of policy, peace, equality, justice, freedom, cooperation, and amity with all nations as part of the law of the land. Now, they claim, the detractors and critics, that they're not suggesting a war, or they're not suggesting war as a form of resolution. Either they do not realize or they ignore the fact that as far as China is concerned, it has sovereignty over the entire South China Sea. And any aggressive move by any country contrary to its claim of ownership is deemed an assault to its sovereignty and will be repelled by force. And they've shown that. When Vietnam, Malaysia, and other countries got into the area which they claim to be theirs, they were repelled by force. Now, they argue that this administration should stand up for the country through other means. They haven't told us what other means. But anyway, they say that as if we have not done anything. Let me remind them, therefore, that this administration has been filing diplomatic protests against the activities of China and their elements. We have been raising specific issues and concerns through bilateral consultation mechanism. We have been fighting for and enjoining other countries in crafting a code of conduct that will be observed by all stakeholders in the disputed areas of water. So we reiterate, we remain steadfast in maintaining our claims with respect to our territory and exclusive economic zones. This is based on the constitutional command of the Constitution on the President to serve and to protect the Filipino people. In doing so, we shall maintain amity and friendly relations with all nations as directed by the Constitution as well. End of my statement. So help us all.
RJ? RJ?
So, sir, in short, what we want is for the Philippines and China to fish or exploit the country's EEZ peacefully, as we want to protect the lives of Filipino fishermen.
Yes, of course.
Correct.
We want peace in that region. We don't want our countrymen who are fishing there to be subject of any assault,
And
of
we
any
should
injury,
be fine.
of anything that is contrary to basic decency.
And we should be fine with the Chinese presence in our EEZ in that respect.
We should what?
We should be fine with China.
Define?
We should be fine with Chinese fishermen exploiting our EEZ.
Well, that's the part of the agreement of the
Alright.
president. In order not to trigger any armed conflict between the two sides.
Okay, that's the whole point, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, may follow-up? Jenaline Cabiling, microphone please sa likod ni Net.
And by the way, with respect to the agreement, remember you were saying if there is a formal agreement, and I said it's a verbal agreement, but don't forget that bilateral meetings are recorded. So we have a record of that agreement. If you look at the transcript, and at the same time we said it is not also true that the president did not make known of that agreement because the Secretary of Foreign Affairs made certain announcement with respect to that relative to the fishing in the Scarborough affair. And I remember also, and I'd like to look at the transcript during our previous press briefings, I also mentioned about that there was talk between China and the Philippines with respect to that. That is why we are not being disturbed anymore.
Jenaline.
Sir, please elaborate on your earlier statement on the President wanting China's assurance to guarantee the safety of Filipino fishermen in the South China Sea.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? How was the discussion?
Yes,
with
because if you recall, our fishermen were not safe when they were fishing at that time, 2 years ago. That's why he made sure that we get the assurance that they will not be touched. And they have not touched them.
Sir, the issue will be discussed in the next bilateral meeting. When will be the meeting be held?
I think that's a regular thing for the DFA.
Sa BCM, sir, or BCM, bilateral consultative?
Eh, kasama yun eh. I think they will discuss it there. Whichever, bahala sila dun. Sila, si Secretary Locsin naman nagde-decide nun, hindi naman ako. Either or, i-discuss yun.
Sir, how about yung Philippines did we commit to also ensure the safety of the Chinese fishermen in our area? Are we committing that also?
Eh, unang-una, hindi naman sila pumapasok eh. What is there to commit? Hindi ba, they have respected us in the Reed Bank. They have not entered in that place.
Sir,
Doon naman sa Scarborough, hindi naman tayo pinapakialaman din.
Sir, lastly, yung sa recto bank issue was discussed in the cabinet. Was the results of the probe mentioned or tackled by the cabinet?
Walang results sa probe. Basta napag-usapan lang doon yung, parang inulit lang ni Presidente yung kinikwento niya sa atin. How it came about.
Okay, Raymond and then Sanarina.
So the president wants China to assure us that they will guarantee the rights and security or safety of our fishermen. So that guarantee was not part of the agreement as supposedly agreed upon by Xi Jinping and the president before to protect and to guarantee the safety and rights of our fishermen.
The fact alone that they agreed that fishermen from our country can fish in that disputed area is already an assurance that they will not be touched. What the president wants is continuing assurance from them.
Because
Huh?
because China forgets.
No, because di ba there have been incidents where kumisan yung Coast Guard nila inaakos yung ating fisherman. So we're making sure na huwag na nilang uulitin yun. Mukha naman after that, I think we filed a diplomatic protest with respect to that. Hindi na naulit.
Sir, simple lang para sa katulad ko na hindi abogado. So ang understanding nyo sa Constitution, primordially yung protection of the lives of the Filipino citizenry.
Yes.
So therefore, the government better not to do anything adversarial or what China doesn't want in the South China Sea because they claim the whole ocean
Yes.
to avoid trouble with China.
Yes, because they have already repeatedly said that this is ours. So any intrusion will be an assault to our sovereignty. And they will react. And they have been reacting nga, di ba, sa ibang mga bansa.
And that would be our guide in responding in the South China Sea issue.
Our guide from the very beginning is we will, whatever benefits derive from that arbitral ruling, which we cannot get by way of force enforcement, we will get it through diplomatic negotiations.
Thank you, sir.
Celerina, then Chona.
Good
Arian, and
afternoon, sir. Sir, you have mentioned that there's this transcript of that meeting regarding the mutual agreement between the President and Mr. Xi. Is it possible to make it public? Can we get a copy of
I don't
is
know.
the particular transcript?
I will ask the protocol who made the transcription. I will ask.
Okay, regarding that policy now, since you're saying that we are really allowing the Chinese fishermen to, if ever, to fish on our EEZ, would that policy be applied also to other countries like Vietnamese and Taiwanese, if ever they would fish also in our EEZ?
There is-
In the past, there were really instances.
Wala namang agreement pagdating doon.
So what if they would ask also for an agreement?
And then, nasa presidente na yan. Nasa atin na yan kung we will allow it.
Regarding that, your initial statement regarding the Constitution as a just piece of paper, just for the record, it was the President who mentioned that if we're going to present it to China, they might think that it's just a piece of paper, like a toilet paper, which could be used whenever you want to use it.
What he
So it's-
means is that China will not listen to us saying that, but our constitution says so. They will tell us, so what? As far as we're concerned, we own this. Doesn't matter to us. Yun ang ibig sabihin ni Presidente. Not literally na papakita mo yung papel. Hindi yun ang ibig sabihin niya.
So, you know,
That's a metaphor.
so just for the record, it was the President who first apparently belittled our Constitution.
No, that's not belittling. You're putting meaning to something that is not implied. The implication there is the Chinese government will never respect our Constitution with respect to their claim of sovereignty over their island or waters. Eh, pareho din tayo. Kasi kung meron din tayo, if we have our own Constitution saying you cannot do that, you cannot do this, o edi wala rin kaming pakialam sa Constitution mo. Ganon din nasasabihin natin sa kanila. It's the same. Ini-emphasize lang din ng Presidente na as far as China is concerned, sa kanila yon. So, walang argument. Kaya nga, precisely, si Presidente nga, napaka-pragmatic eh. Hindi kita kayang labanan ng harap-harapan, o di magkaibigan na lang tayo muna. Baka naman sakaling makuha ko lahat ng gusto ko. Yun ang kagalingan sa kanya. Flexible siya.
Chona, then Arian and Joseph. Hi, sir. Sir, what was the response of the President when China rejected the plan to have a third-party investigation?
Unang-una, hindi naman ni-reject eh. Nagtataka nga ako siya, bakit ang mga headlines reject? Ang sabi ko sa inyo, no. Iba yung rejection. Tandaan nyo, the offer was coming from China, joint, di ba? Tayo naman nag-counter offer. O, sabi natin, sige, maglagay din tayong third party. O, ang sagot naman nila, wag na yun. Andito na. Anyway, mag-agree.
So, sir,
Hindi.
what's the
They're
third?
also that's another suggestion from them. Tayo na lang dalawa. Not rejection. Kasi we are suggesting. They're also counter-suggesting.
So, sir, what was the response of the President?
Although, in fairness naman dun sa writers, yun lang nilagay rejection. Pero pagdating dun sa sulat, kung anong sinabi ko naman.
So, sir, how did
Ikaw ba ang sumulat nun, RJ?
So, sir, how did
Hindi.
the
Yes, hindi ba sabi ni Presidente, okay lahat sa akin yan. Wala akong problema dyan. Basta ang kailangan, tapusin na natin yung issue kasi nasisira ang relasyon natin at ginagatasan ng mga kritiko at mga detractors. They're milking it. Pinalalabas nilang masama tayo na hindi naman. Yan ang punto ni Presidente.
So, the President is okay na walang third-party investigator.
Okay, Presidente. Basta tapusin na natin ito. Magkasundo na tayo. Kasi simple lang naman ang issue nga. As I will repeat. The issue is very simple. Is it accidental, intentional? Sino ba ang may kasalanan? Bakit nyo iniwan yung mga ano? Ano ngayon gagawin nyo sa mga iniwan nyo kung kasalanan nyo? O, di ba? Ganun lang kasimple yan.
So, sir, kailan yun makikita ng publiko yung results?
Siguro, antayin na lang natin. We'll just proceed with the suggestion after the final results, magmi-meet yung working group with the other working group, and then they will issue a joint statement kung ano na napagkasundo nila.
Sir, dun sa task force,
What?
task force,
Working group, you mean? Paano rin yun?
You said
Task force,
yesterday,
working
task
group
force.
is the same.
anong utos ni Presidente? What government agency?
Palagay ko, I'm not very sure, but I think it's Ambassador Santa Romana who will be with the working group.
And paano po yung dynamics, sir?
Hindi ko alam ang dynamics, but what is important is, pag meron na tayong final findings, meron na rin sila, they will meet and then issue a joint statement to put closure to the incident.
Okay,
Thank you,
Arian?
sir.
Sir, what does the government plan to do if China doesn't give a continuing assurance that Filipino fishermen will be safe in the West Philippine Sea?
Anong gagawin natin? Walang-wala. They have given that already. Yung assurance na yun. So parang inuulit lang natin. Pag
Hindi, sir,
hindi.
Sa
Kahit na wala
hindi
silang
ni
assurance,
Duterte,
basta hindi
diba?
nila ginagalaw yung ating fisherman, wala tayong problema doon. Di ba? May assurance mo sila kung tapos ginalaw yung mga fisherman natin, another problem. Wala naman silang assurance, hindi rin naman yung ginagalaw, di okay pa rin.
Sir, yung 22 fishermen nung sa Recto Bank, originally kasi sir, di ba yung message nila kay President is na paalisin yung Chinese fishermen dun sa EEZ. So ngayon sir, na pwede na sila, anong assurance po yung bibigay natin sa mga fishermen natin na safe sila mangisda dun sa lugar na yun?
Ay, safe sila. Kasi, unang-una, ba't naman hindi sila safe?
Kasi nga sir, ang gusto po, kasi sir yung nangyari
Kasi
na nga po, nagkaroon ng issue.
kasi yung feeling nila, di ba, initially ang feeling nila, sinadya. Pero later on, lumalabas na hindi sinadya, coming from one of them, and then later on, parang sinusuportahan ng mga iba.
So, sir,
kasi
ano
tulog
pong-
naman sila.
Ano pong message nyo sir of assurance to them?
Wala, hindi nga, I responded to that. Yung assurance, hindi na kailangan yon dahil dati na nga assured, walang nangyayari doon. Ito namang incident ito, hindi na, mukhang lumalabas, hindi naman talagang sinadya. So safe ang ating mga fishermen. Moreover, meron naman tayong mga coast guards doon to protect them.
Okay, last two on China, Joseph and Ace.
Sir, just a little bit on the cabinet meeting.
The top notch, ito ba si Joseph ang top notcher? Sino nagsabi sa akin kahapon?
Baka mga ano niyo yan, sir, kapanalig.
Top notcher ka pala, sabi ni...
Sir, ganito.
Pia.
Sa meeting po, sa cabinet meeting,
Yeah.
the president, of course, said his sentiments, no? And is this his sentiment when you said that the critics are milking it, tapos pinapalabas yung administration na wala silang ginagawa? Is that his sentiment, or
That's my
yours?
impression.
What did he say by yesterday?
About what?
The issue, sir. And kasi parang ang sinasabi kanina
Hindi ba sinabi ko na inulit niya yung kwento niya?
Mm.
Sa akin, yan ang impression ko na mini-milk lang ng mga kalaban ni Presidente. Ginagatasan lang, mga ginagamit.
Because he
Kaya,
wants,
kaya that's why we have to put closure to this. Pinalalaki na hindi naman dapat palakihin.
sir, yung put closure, kanina po yan na desire. Kanya?
Both sides. Kasi it's affecting our relations pinagsasabong tayo. Wala naman dapat pagsabungan.
Both sides meaning Philippines and China?
Yes, and Chinese would want also to put closure to that.
How
Kasi
do
nga,
we-
lumalabas parang, hindi ba, didn't I tell you already, the reason why nagkagulo ito, kasi we always assume the premise na yung fishing vessel is you know, Chinese Republic, private vessel eh. Kaya binanata natin ng China, dapat na hindi. Babanata mo yung Chinese vessel, saka yung crew. Hindi yung gobyerno.
So,
Yun ang ginawa natin, bumira kagad tayo eh.
Sir, sino po yung may sabi na China wants to put a closure to this?
Sila, Ambassador Sao.
How did he say it, sir?
O yun nga, we have to put closure to this because our relations are being affected. Sa akin na lang yung pinag-aaway tayo actually, pinag-aaway.
When was the most recent that he told you this?
Doon sa text, hindi ba nagte-text kami dalawa?
Yesterday, 2 days
The other
ago?
day yata, the other day.
And also, this is the president's desire also.
Lahat tayo, I'm sure all Filipinos want to put closure to this. We have to determine exactly who was at fault at the incident. We want to determine kaninong accountability yan, ano ba ang compensation dyan, ano bang gagawin nyo sa ginawa nyo sa pag-abandona. Lahat tayo gusto nating tapusin ito. Hindi pa pwedeng ito nakabitin at nagtatapunan ng sisi.
But I'd like to know the position of the president. He wants to an end also. No?
Ano?
He wants an end also to
Of
this.
course, every president wants to put closure to any incident that affects the presidency and the Filipino people. And for that matter, any country. Basta may incident ganyan, ayaw nilang papahabain niya kasi it affects the relation ng dalawang bansa. Na maganda ang relasyon eh. Nagkakaroon ng hindi magandang implikasyon.
He's not at all concerned about maybe public acceptance or favorability to him.
Which one?
Yung pong issue ng China, is it already affecting the president's, for lack of a better term,
No.
popularity?
Di tingnan mo yung popularidad niya sa next survey.
Uh-huh.
Hindi naman naapektuhan.
Okay, Ace.
Ay, wait lang.
Okay.
Sir, you've emphasized that the president is implementing the spirit of the Constitution by
Not only the spirit, it's the command of the
the
Constitution.
command, of course, the command of the Constitution by protecting and serving the Filipino. By doing that, can he or is he implementing Section 2, Article 12? What is he doing with Section 2, Article 12 of the Constitution when you say that he is obeying the command of the Constitution, the higher command of the Constitution, by protecting and serving the Filipino? What is he doing then to Section 2, Article 12?
O, di ganun din. Pinoprotektahan niya rin yung the same. The mineral, what do you call it, the marine wealth.
Marine resources?
O kasi halimbawa, nagkaroon ng digmaan. Ha? Baka, apart from baka tayo ma-annihilate, baka pati yung ating bansa nakuha na nila. Kuha mo? Baka, yun ang ina-avoid ni Presidente. Ayaw niya na gusto niya. Peaceful tayo dyan. Pag-usap na lang tayo. Ang problema, pinipilit nyo na gusto nyo aggressive, reckless. Hindi pa pwede yun.
Sir, okay, game. But your logic...
We are in a civilized country.
Sir,
Tapos na yung mga World War something. Hindi na tayo dapat na...
Who raised the specter of war? Did
Huh?
not?
Oh, anyway.
Sir, but the logic is...
Oh.
By not going into war with China,
Oh. Do you protect your marine wealth? Oh, hindi
which
ba?
follows first? So, we cannot...
You protect the Filipino people, you protect everything in the country. Kasi when there is war, everyone is affected. Lives, properties, everything. Just like during the Japanese occupation, we were invaded. Ang daming pinatay sa atin. Ang daming nasirang the entire landscape ng Maynila. Nasira.
He is protecting the Filipino by giving away their rights.
You're
to
not
fish.
giving away, you're precisely saving it.
How?
Oh,
By opening it to China.
hanggang ngayon, hindi nyo makita.
Sir, let's
You're
test
not
your
giving
hypothesis. Let's test lang, yung ganun, yung correlation.
Oh,
Is he not violating the Section 2, Article 12?
akala ko ba nagkaintindihan tayo? When you read that provision, you relate that...
Maybe not violating. Is he
You-
doing away with it?
No. You relate that to Section 2 of Article, or Section 4 of Article 2. Yun nga ang pinaka-premise eh. You have to protect and serve the Filipino people. Kasi kung doon ka lang magko-concentrate, you're not protecting the Filipino people. Kasi gusto mo aggressive enforcement eh. O hindi nag-trigger ng armed conflict. O ano yung pinoteksyonan mo? Baka pati yung subject of your aggressive move, mawala rin sa'yo. Di ba? Yun ang ibig sabihin nun.
So, to your mind, sir, he's not disregarding doing away with the constitutional provision on
Sinisave
protection.
niya nga eh. Kasi nga yun ang pinaka-premise eh.
Okay, kung yun po yung interpretation.
Okay, Ace.
Secretary, na-mention dito sa statement yung pag-protect sa fishermen, pati yung sa kanilang rights, di ba? Na wag silang gagalawin. Kasama dito yung sa panatag shoal, di po ba? Kasama yun, di ba, Sec? Kasama ba dito yung pag-appeal sa China na hayaan yung mga fishermen na kunin yung kanilang catch? Kasi di ba may mga reports na hinaharang sila ng mga fishermen and then bibigyan sila ng bottled water and